What's happening, fam? L.A.R movement still moving. Book entitled Lessons from a Non-Custodial Father. Amazon Kindle Create Space. Kids groomed to hate. Um, we don't talk about this much, but there's a grooming process that happens when usually a custodial parent has a has a beef with the non-custodial parent, and that usually goes when a mother has a beef with the father. They groom the kid to hate their father. They make the kid scared of their father unnecessarily. They make the kid disrespectful to their father, which creates a rift that breeds hate. They groom the child to be skeptical of all of their father's decisions. They groom the child to be dismissive of anything that their father tells them, and to be defensive anytime their father tells them something, even if it's for their best interest. And everybody acts like, not I'm not gonna say everybody, but people act like this doesn't exist and this is not prevalent and this is not basically a norm in society now, when it is. And unfortunately, people want to pass the buck so much. A lot of these mothers and females who are not even mothers, and some of these guys who are bullshit artists and simps and trying to get in girls' pants and shit, they don't. Nobody wants to check this behavior, including grandparents. And what winds up happening is they try to deflect and project and say, okay, well, if the men were in these child's lives, you don't groom a child to hate their other parent to make a conducive, functional family atmosphere. You do that to create dysfunction and division. So what a lot of people just want to overlook is the fact that when you groom a child to hate their parent, you're setting up a situation where you're dividing the family. That ain't for, I mean, even if the father takes all the slings and arrows and takes all the shots that are given, and you say, well, it's admirable that they did that. Well, if it's admirable that they had to go through a lot of unnecessary drama, when are you gonna tell a person who caused the drama, you need to chill out, or somebody you gonna get fucked up? Does anybody do that? Is there any discipline for teaching a child to hate their parent? No, there's not. And it's different if a child grows up and has a issue with their parent because they grew up and they saw the contradictions. And this is what normally happens anyways on the back end of teaching a child to hate their parent. Is the child comes to realize all of the bullshit that they've been told and the lies that they've been fed, and realize how much of an asshole they've been, because you come to realize that the things that you were mad about don't make sense in the grand scheme of things. I said this before. I remember I was sitting, my son was in his room. He was talking on the phone with his mother, and he has bad telephone habits because his mother created bad telephone habits or whatever. But he was talking to her, and I happened to walk by to check on him, see if he was on the phone or actually just got off my phone and was playing Angry Birds or some shit. so, um, so I pop up, and he's in the background and he's talking. He's like, I don't like him. I hate him. He trying to get me to do stuff. And then his mother's on the phone. Yeah, I know your dad's mean, man. I know he's a problem. I know he ain't right. I know you're not gonna be there that long. What is he doing to you this time? And then my son just busts up and said, he trying to make me do stuff like read and go to bed early and stuff like that. He mean, mama. And she couldn't say anything because at that point it was like her answer, basically she paused and she's like, okay. And when I listened to it, I just left it alone. I walked out. He didn't even know I was there because like he was facing his back was to me. And And I just sat there and I thought about it. I said, this chick is out of her fucking mind. Because she won't even correct that because, you know, so when he gets back with her, you know, it's not a good idea to read because mama told me, you know, you the mean parent if you teach somebody to read and you make them go to bed early. That's not what we do. That's not real. So, and there's plenty of guys who I know who've been through similar situations where, you know, they've had these type of experiences where, you know, hang up on your daddy. Your daddy ain't shit. You know, you ain't got to take that. You ain't got to. What do you mean? You can cuss your daddy out because I told you to. And then the kid winds up, you're creating a monster because the kid winds up being an asshole. You know? And then they go out to the public and they're an asshole. And then they're embarrassing the shit out of that mother most times out of 10 because while she was grooming the kid to hate the father, she was also grooming the kid to be an asshole to society. You know, the kid sees men out in the world or boys his age, they're the enemy. Not a big deal. You know, and part of this grooming process, that's why I brought up grandparents in this earlier, is part of that parental alienation thing because the grandparents know better. And usually the grandparents on the custodial side, you can tell if they ain't shit. And I'm going to tell you how. If they got a problem with their grandchild being around, forget just being around the father, but the father's family, their other grandparents, their other cousins, maybe their other siblings, you know. If they in on that and it's cool and they all right with all of that, they ain't shit either. Because you're going to wind up with kids talking about, you know, this is my family over here and these are my enemies over here and everybody's fucking family. Everybody's their family. You get what I'm saying? And then their intentions change because they'll have loving intentions with one side of the family and hateful and spiteful intentions with the other side of the family. Not realizing that over time, as they grow, they're going to forget the bullshit that they pulled from, you know, from a toddler because they were groomed as a toddler. But then by the time they grow up into a kid, they're gonna be an asshole, you know, and then a teenager, and then a young adult, and then an adult, and then they're gonna be like, well, why y'all don't fuck with me? And then people gonna start telling them the shit that they did over the years because a lot of times when you groom these children to hate, you groom them to not have a memory or take an accountability or responsibility for their actions because all of the bullshit is justified. They can do whatever they want. You know, they can be they are used as a pawn on your behest to be the evil infiltrator and not realizing they've created a reputation with not just their family but with their friends and with the society that they actually live in with. Normally the mother and her side of the family. So the society around them starts looking at them like, y'all ain't shit. Kid can't see it. Kid can't see that, you know, that mother's not welcome to a lot of things because, like, you ain't shit. When grandparents start not welcome to a lot of things because they're like, you letting this go on, that means y'all ain't shit either, you know. And you see this because when kids grow up, men or women, you know, if you're a man and you have a daughter, and then your daughter has a child with a guy, and then she goes around this route because she was raised by her mother, and she wants to keep her child away from the father and the father side of the family, and you don't check her, and you went through the same shit, you fucked up. You know, same thing. You know, that's the same thing when a mother has a son, and these women do the exact same thing that these mothers did when they were younger and had their child, and then they can't necessarily fight it because in one way it's karma, is what goes around comes around. It just didn't go around. It came around in a different way. So and and on top of that, all of this animosity that's been taught and bred and reinforced evolves and gets worse, you know. So people think it's normal, and then the children grow up to be adults and parents, and then they start thinking, then they realize how abnormal it is. Like, you know, they're justified, like, I hate my daddy for a reason, but why is my child hating me? Because of that bitch. But then they don't say, wait a minute, that bitch doing the same thing my mama did with me. Wait, whoa, whoa, whoa. Some people catch on to it earlier than others. Some people catch on to it and they're cowardly and they don't address it, so they just let it happen. And some people catch on to it late, and then their whole world that they built in their mind, that in some ways is their reality, starts to crumble because it was built on a lie. So, I mean, this is some of the things that happen when you groom kids to hate. It is what it is. We out.